What's up, guys? It's John Reeves Live, and today we're watching another BTS reaction. Ever since we had Taylor on our podcast and she talked about this song, I've been really excited to hear it. With her story about it and talking about just like how at a BTS concert she felt like that was the place that Whalien 52 could be heard. I loved that analogy so much. Either way, without any further ado, let's get into today's reaction. Whalien 52, and this is actually going to be a full experience reaction. It's going to be a longer video. If you guys haven't yet, please make sure you hit that sub button. Let's get into the video right freaking now. 3, 2, 1, boom! I freaking love this picture. That looks so cool.
The most lonely creature in the world.
It reminds me of some old school like R&B.
I never told this to anybody. Yeah. Come on. 이 넓은 바다 한가운데 한 마리 고래가 나지막히 외롭게 말을 해. 아무리 소리쳐도 닿지 않는 게 사무치게 외로워 조용히 입 다문에 아무렴 어때 뭐가 됐든 이제 말할게. 외로움이란 녀석만 내 곁에서 머물 때 온전히 혼자가 돼 외로이 채우는 잠을 때 누구 말에 새끼 연예인 다르네. Oh fuck that. 그래 뭐 어때 누군가 곁에 머물 수 없다.
I freaking love Suga's lyrics right there. That's sometimes how I feel about things. Like if I'm going through something and I really can't get help in that thing, I'll just keep pushing my head through it anyways and be like, I'm fine as I am. I like that lyrical line. Ooh, B coming in nice. Their harmony, that's so good. J-Hope, yes. J-Hope's style, he's so iconic to me. Anytime I hear his voice now, used to, it was so foreign. Like, I felt like every time I heard him, I was like, who is that? Who's that singing? And even if I like thought I knew what his voice sounded like, I didn't. And now every time I hear him, I understand, like, I know that it's J-Hope. Like, it's so soothing too. That's so catchy.
어머니는 바다가 부르다 하셨어. 멀리 힘껏 네 목소리 내라 하셨어. 그런데 어떡하죠 여긴 너무 깜깜하고 온통 다른 말을 하는 다른 고래들 뿐인데 아직 사랑한다 말하고 싶어. 혼자는 돌림 노래 같은 악보를 되짚어. 이 바다 너무 깊어. 그래도 난 다행인 거. I'm a Whalien.
God, they're so relatable. That's so catchy.
끝없는 무전하나 언젠가 닿을 거야. 저기 지구 반대편까지 다. No more, no more, baby, no more, no more. 눈먼 고래들 오늘조차 날 볼 수 있을까 오늘도 다시 노래하시나
God, that was good. God, I feel like that song is so relatable in a lot of different ways. I feel like for them, probably, they're more or less talking about maybe even like their status as celebrity or what their pursuit in their music has done for them or like what that means to them. But for me personally, it kind of means I grew up in a I cannot express enough, very small town. I felt like that same way. I felt like there was like this desire to like get out and do more with my life that I didn't feel like a lot of other people there shared. I mean, there was a lot of really great people there. I had a lot of really good friends. I still talk to some of them from that town, but it just felt like I was like that Whalien kind of. I skateboarded in a town where people just rode back roads. I freaking sang in a metal band where like people just listened to country music and had like skull cans in their back pocket. There's nothing wrong with how they were. I just wasn't anything like them. And I grew up feeling like that kind of like alienated feeling, but also at the same time, like having that same driven passion where I just really wanted to get out and do more with myself. So whenever I did graduate high school, literally I just went on tour. So I definitely see where the song's coming from. I feel this song a lot. And I guess you can take it in a lot of different ways too. How did you guys perceive this song? What does this song mean to you? Cool thing now, we're about to get into some nerdy stuff that I really thoroughly freaking enjoy. I love stuff like this. This is actually going to be a scientist breaking down Whalien 52. I love the fact that we have biologists talking about these songs. Did BTS come up with this idea or is this something from a story somewhere else? I know RM's really big on bringing books and stuff that he's read into his music. So I don't know if this came from somewhere else or if this is something that BTS created themselves. But I'm excited to find out. Let's get into that video right now. Swipe it!
Hi, I'm Ron and welcome to Popsicle, where I talk about popular culture, science, and everything in between. As you've seen from the title, this episode is about BTS, about the BTS song in particular, which is Whalien 52, and thus I am wearing a BTS
Get it, dude!
quite fitting.
I like him already.
Episode. And even though I've been a member of the army only for a short time, since 2020 only, and I guess I can say that I'm a pandemic baby army. I think I could say that this episode is the type of episode that I had set out to do with this channel in the first place, which is being able to combine my interests in science and popular culture. Because here, I'm going to be talking about the science and science fiction of Whalien 52, one of BTS's songs, from a biological perspective. Yes. Since I'm a biologist by training, I'll be talking about it from a biological perspective, but of course, I'll also be touching on other science aspects as well. Whalien 52 is a track off the 2015 BTS album The Most Beautiful Moment in Life. And it was produced by P-Dog and written by P-Dog, Hitman Bang, Brother Sue, Slow Rabbit, and our rap line RM, Suga, and J-Hope.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's probably one of the more popular B tracks of BTS, given that it's, well, first of all, it's a very good song, very catchy melody, as is typical of a BTS song. And also, they've used a lot of the imagery, particularly that of a whale, in some of their other videos, whether a Tiny Tan video or the music video for We Are Bulletproof, The Eternal. A lot of ARMY also love this song because it talks about something very poignant and something that most people can relate to, which is loneliness, the ability to form connections with other people, the feeling of isolation. That's really what this song is going for in terms of its message.
Just gonna say this really quick. I really like this dude. Really like this guy. He's definitely getting a sub and a quick thumbs up for me.
And you can see it from lyrics such as this one. And there's this line in the song which goes, "Believe in my hurts." And hurts is what we're going to focus on because it's one of the characteristics of sound that is really the focal point of the message of the song. Now, we're going to go into the science already. Sound is one of the mechanisms by which organisms, living organisms, detect stimuli from all around them and interact with the world. It's part of their sensory perceptual world, which we call the umwelt. And the umwelt is something that I discuss in another video. I'm going to provide the link up here.
First time I've ever heard that word used in my life.
I do encourage you to look at it because some of the things that we're going to discuss in this video are touched on from a general perspective in that other video on the umlaut. But anyway, the Whalien 52, as you may have known from your own research, maybe you were curious about the inspiration behind the song, you would have realized that it's actually a real animal. Whalien 52 is based on the 52 whale or the 52 hertz whale, which is so called because it signals at 52 hertz. This whale was first heard by the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in Massachusetts, one of the top academic and research institutions in marine science, back in 1989. And
I'm just going to say this now. I'm really stoked to know that this is a real whale because, like, for me, the entire time I've been like, I don't know if this is something that was created by BTS or if this is a real thing. And if it's a real thing, it's terribly sad. So, like, I guess I'm glad that it's a real thing, but also sad that it's a real thing. Like, that's a sad thing that there's the whale out there that can't communicate with anyone else. That just made it so much more real.
Was further recorded sometime in the 90s, and since the 2010s, it has been recorded practically every year. And that's
Oh my God.
a long amount of time in between the first instance when it was detected and the most recent. And it is most likely the same whale, which suggests that this whale has gotten old, has matured, in which case it's probably a healthy individual. If it were not healthy, it wouldn't have lived for as long as it already has. And again, it's called the 52 hertz whale because it produces sounds at 52 hertz, which is very unusual. It is comparable, quite comparable to two species of whale, which are the blue whale and the fin whale. Now, a quick note on the science of sound. Sound comes in waves, and so it has a crest. And the height of a wave is what you call the amplitude or the loudness, whereas the distance between the crests of the waves are what you call the frequency or the pitch. And that frequency or pitch is what we measure in hertz. The amplitude or the loudness is how loudly we hear the sound. So those are two different properties that, of course, are both important at the same time, given that they are the properties of the wave. To give you an idea of what this all means, humans hear on a range of 20 to 20,000 hertz. And as we get older, we tend to lose
That is
some of
a
that sound,
big range
some
as
of
well
that
too, I
hearing
feel
ability
like.
in the higher scale of the sound. So we don't quite hear up to 20,000 hertz when we're at our oldest ages as humans. Sound travels faster the denser the medium in which it travels. And of course, water is a much denser medium than air. So it makes sense that a lot of marine animals, including whales, transmit sound signals. These travel better, more efficiently in the denser medium, which is water. Remember, our range is from 20 to 20,000 hertz, and scientists have said that it could be somewhat like a low moaning. That's what it would sound like. But in the marine environment, the 52 hertz is actually very unusual. There are two species of whales to which the 52 hertz whale are often compared, and these are the blue whale and the fin whale. The blue whale emits sounds that range in frequency from 10 to 39 hertz, whereas the fin whale typically creates sounds that are around 20 hertz, which is quite low, right, in terms of pitch. So you can see that the 52 hertz whale doesn't fall into any of these ranges. And so, because whales use these sounds to communicate with fellow whales, it would seem like the 52 hertz whale is actually not heard or detected or sensed by the blue whales and the fin whales, which is why people have called it the loneliest whale in the world. And
that's so
it's rather
freaking sad.
About it if this whale really does have the inability to communicate with fellow whales. Now, what is the 52 hertz whale? No one is sure. Many scientists believe that it could be a hybrid of a blue whale and a fin whale. Yes, hybrids between two species can sometimes occur in the wild, although not commonly because of reproductive barriers between two species. But it can happen, and this could be the result of a rare hybridization event between a blue whale and a fin whale, but because it doesn't belong to neither parental species, it creates a sound that is unlike that of either parental species. 52 hertz compared to the ranges of either the blue whale or the fin whale. Hybrids that occur in the wild are often inviable in terms of many different factors. Hybrids more often occur in captivity where people create them on purpose, like mules, for example, are a hybrid between horses and donkeys. You may have heard of the liger, which is a cross between a male lion and a female tiger.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I had no clue until very recently that a liger was a real thing. I always thought it was a thing on Napoleon Dynamite, and I was like, that's hilarious. But it turns out it's a real animal. And apparently they're huge. Like, ligers are way bigger than a lion or a tiger. That's kind of cool.
These are often inviable, particularly the males. Male hybrids are often sterile, whereas females can be fertile, but then you couldn't really mate them with males of the same type. Like a male liger won't be able to create offspring with a female liger. Sometimes sterility doesn't appear until the second or the third generation of offspring, but it's often there between hybrids. Now, there are various sorts of inviability of hybrids. In fact, hybrids are not always formed because usually, even before a zygote is formed through union of sperm and egg cells, the sperm and egg don't really interact with each other because they're not compatible.
He is going full on, in depth about this situation. I'm liking this dude a lot. He's giving us a lot of info.
Because they come from different species. But when a zygote is formed, the inviability of the offspring, of the hybrid, I should say, can come in different form. And here we may be seeing what we call ecological inviability or behavioral sterility. Now, these are two types of what we call post-zygotic reproductive barriers because these barriers arise after the zygote has already been formed. Again, a zygote is what you form when sperm from the male fertilizes the egg cell.
It all makes sense now.
It's probably not ecological inviability because, as we have said earlier, this whale has actually grown to an advanced age, and we can tell that from the fact that its sound is now at around 50 hertz compared to 52 hertz. And this is one key evidence that suggests that whales deepen their voice. The pitch of their voice goes lower as they grow
weird. That's cool.
older. And the fact that this whale has lived for quite a long time highly suggests that it's not unhealthy. And it's not ecologically inviable because it is serving its own or occupying its own niche in the environment. But it is probably behavioral sterility in that we cannot expect that it will be able to mate with another organism, with another whale, again because it is unable to communicate with whales. And whale song or communication through sound is a very important part of the courtship, the mating process of whales and many other mammals.
Yeah.
Now, very interestingly, scientists are speculating that the 52 hertz whale is actually not alone. There are probably other whales that are using the same frequency, but scientists can't really be absolutely sure how many whales they're detecting. It may really be just one through all of those years from 1989,
Dang.
or it may be several. And we haven't actually found the real whale. It's very difficult. In terms of the migratory routes, it's somewhere between that of a blue whale and a fin whale, which further suggests that it is a hybrid of the two. Typically, hybrids don't survive for too long or aren't very healthy or viable. So, even if it is lonely, there's something to celebrate about the fact that the 52 hertz whale has lived for such a long time. Hopefully, it's not as low.
Always looking at the positive. I like your style.
Especially if there are other 52 hertz whales around, in which case it's actually possible that it may be able to mate. Using the whale and the alien as an analogy is something very sci-fi but also very science and also very human. Like most BTS songs, this doesn't end on a very sad note. It actually ends on a hopeful. There's a line here that goes, and I quote, "An endless signal will reach someday, everywhere, even to the other side of the earth," unquote. It's characteristically BTS to talk about us bridging communication gaps, being able to reach out to each other despite differences in language and culture. That's how they've been living their lives.
Dude, I love
artists ever since they debuted in 2013, which makes them
This
the
guy.
happiest of everyone to see that the world is engaging with them and responding to their message despite the cultural boundaries and the language boundaries. I think the encouragement here is to keep on trying to communicate and eventually it will break down those barriers that exist among us. And that's really a very hopeful, beautiful message to live by, especially nowadays when there's so much conflict in the world. There is a Whalien in all of us, I suppose, particularly during those moments when we feel alone and misunderstood, that we can't get in touch with other people. But it's not hopeless. We keep on trying to communicate, and people will try to keep communicating with us. It's an open call for communication and openness. And believe in my hurts can be a sort of battle cry for us, a call to come together and break down these barriers.
Dude, just bringing it all back. I learned a lot from that video. I had no clue that well was like a real well, first of all. I think that's awesome. And then second of all, I just love how deep some of the lyrics can be. RM and everybody that's behind writing the music for BTS is just so thoughtful with their lyrics. They're so introspective, and I love their lyrics. That was freaking awesome. It was really cool to know that like how much actually went into that song. This is another video. I'm not sure exactly what this one is. It's called the 52 Hertz Well. I'm not exactly sure what to expect with this, but I'm going to check it out right now. Let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, go. Hope we actually see this well.
Drift at sea, 1,000,000 meters cubed of no response. He calls at the wrong frequency.
Is this the actual well?
Listen to the call of what is considered to be the loneliest whale in the world. This call is at a frequency of 52 hertz. This frequency is very unusual for a whale, with most whales calling at around 10 to 40 hertz.
Dang.
This call comes from what appears to be the only whale in the ocean at this pitch.
Aww.
Now listen to the call of the blue whale to compare.
It's so different. Oh my god.
Both of these sounds have been sped up 10 times so that we can hear them easily. And humans are not the only ones with a hearing limit. Whales use sound to communicate, to swim with others, and to find a mate. It is thought that the sounds of the 52 Hz whale cannot be heard by any others, and thus it is destined to forever swim alone, singing out with no reply.
It's so sad.
Ideas are that the whale could be malformed, a hybrid between a blue whale and another species, or deaf, as the sounds we make can be influenced by the sounds we hear.
That makes sense.
This is definitely a poignant story that makes us think about the projection of human emotions. We all feel isolated at times, familiar with the idea that despite our attempts, we are not heard or seen, that we are alone in a crowded sea. Does this whale feel loneliness? I don't know. How can we know? Detected first in 1989, it has been swimming alone for over 25
God, that is
years.
so freaking sad.
If all it has ever known is solitude, would it still miss a crowd?
That's a good question.
I imagine a sense of peace comes with accepting that life is just the cool water breaking over your fin. But humans would find that hard to accept. Do you think you could still appreciate beauty in life if you had no one like you to share it with?
How about the depth of that last question? Could you still appreciate the beauty in life if you had no one to share it with? I don't know. Like me personally, maybe yes, but also no. I feel like it would come to a point where I could no longer appreciate it without another person there to talk about it with. I'm a very much group person. Like, I'm a people person. I enjoy my privacy, my alone time. I for sure get that. But then at the same time, I very much so love people. I'm a people person. So I don't know. I don't think I could. I think there would be a brief moment where I was okay with everything. And then whenever I realized that this is it, I am alone, I would be mortified. And that's where I feel like I was talking about earlier, growing up in that small town, I really do feel like I was alone. And I think that if I would have stayed there, I would have felt that same loneliness. And I'm glad that it got out. And I'm glad that I've got this community that we've got here. Freaking army bots. I am so stoked to have learned as much as we did about this. Now we get my favorite part of any video, and that is a live performance. Let's get into that right now. 3, 2, 1, freaking go!
Yeah. The most lonely creature in the world. Have you heard my story? I never told this to anybody. Yeah. Listen.
이 넓은 바다의 한가운데 한 마리 고래가 나기막히 외롭게 말을 해. 아무리 소리쳐도 닿지 않게 사무치게 외로워 조용히 있기 때문에 아무렴 언제 뭐가 되든 이제 뭐 I don't care. 외로움이란 녀석들만 내 곁에 머물 때 온전히 혼자가 돼 외로이 채우는 잠을 때 누구 말에 새끼 연예인 다른 내 엄마 그래 뭐 어때 누군가 곁에 머물 수 없다 한데도 그걸로 죽게 날 향해 쉽게 얘기하는 네 말은 꼭 벽이 돼 외로움조차 니들 눈에 척이 돼
그 벽에 갇혀서 내 숨이 막혀도 저 수명이를 향해 hey, hey, yeah.
I love any of the performances they do like this. So on kind of like a smaller stage and it's just them singing. It's almost like a vocal flex or something like that. And they're not really dancing very much.
그거는 무슨 하나 언젠가 다 할 거야 저기 지고 반대편까지 다 yeah. No more baby no more 눈먼 고래들조차 난 볼 수 있을 거야 오늘도 다시 노래하지 마 세상은 절대로 몰라 내가 얼마나 슬픈지를 내 아픔은 섞일 수 없는 무가기름 그저 난 수면 위에서만 숨을 쉴 때 간신 끝외로움 만났었고만 나도 알리고 싶네 내같이 everyday.
Something that I've realized a lot after watching the JK week is how much he does in the background. And I've been listening to it a lot ever since. I freaking love it. But freaking J-Hope's doing so good here. And every once in a while I'll hear like JK peppering in some ad-libs. It's so obvious now that I know that it's there.
걱정에 머리를 해 는 stick은 그 밑에 Never end 왜 끝은 없고 매번 해요 시간인가 놓치다 쉬면 속에 never end 만들 생각해 지금 세우다 떨어져 꿈은 고래답게 다가온 칭찬이며 춤을 추게 한 거야 나는 미래 향해 가저 푸른 밤도와 내 헤어짐을 믿어해 lonely 이렇게 혼자 노래 불러 왜 단속 같은 나도 밝게 빛날 수 있을까 lonely 왜 이렇게 또 한 번 불러와 대답 없는 이 노래가 내일이 닿을 때까지 어머니는 바다가 부르다 하셨어 멀리 힘껏 네 목소리 내라 하셨어 그런데 어떡하죠 여기 너무 깜깜하고 온통 다른 말을 하는 다른 고래들 뿐인데 I can't hold it more 사랑한 자말 하고 싶어 혼자는 부는 노래 같은 악보를 다 짚어 이 바다 너무 깊어 그래도 난 타인인 걸 I'm a realist
God, he really crushes this line live.
무슨 하나 언젠가 다 할 거야 저기 지구 반대편까지 다 yeah. No more baby no more 눈먼 고래들조차 나 볼 수 있을 거야 오늘도 다시 노래하지 마
God, he freaking... So JK there at the end just going off on some freaking vocals. That was pretty awesome. And I really feel like Rapline does a really good job throughout that entire song, just putting down really memorable verses, and then Vocal Line doing a really good job of harmonizing with each other and kind of bringing in that melody. So like I think that they really stood out. Each section did a really good job of like making their parts really worth it and memorable. Freaking love that song. I love the meaning of that song, and just know that like if y'all are watching this right now, anybody that's made it through this entire video, or Army, you're not a freaking alone. You're not alone at all. There's a lot of us out there, and I think a lot of us might even think that you're like more alone than you are, but just know that, look, I'm a freaking metal screaming vocalist, a huge metal fan from a very small rural town in Tennessee, and I am a huge BTS fan, so we definitely share that in common. And if anybody out there is screaming at that freaking 52 hertz trying to be heard, just know that this is a place that you're definitely being heard, and I'm glad that BTS gave us all a voice. So in saying that, thank y'all so much for sticking around for this whole video. I hope that y'all have a blessed rest of your day. Be freaking kind out there to one another, spread some positivity, and if anybody needs anything at all of my socials are at John Reeves Live, and I will catch y'all next time. Freaking toodles!